Hey everyone, welcome to another Photographer's Favorite episode. Today I have Gray Smith with me. Thanks so much for joining me, Gray.
Of course.
Yeah. How you been doing, man?
Been doing real well, man.
Yeah?
Like we were just chatting about, I had some snow yesterday, so I was shooting some mallards on a pond right up the way,
Nice.
about 5 minutes from my house. And yeah, good
Always
stuff.
fun. Always fun. It sounds like you got some good weather coming in tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we're gonna get like 8 inches or so tomorrow. Gonna be
Nice.
snowing all day long, so I'm gonna be out in it.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, definitely. I know you love that kind of weather, don't you?
I love it. The harsher the conditions, the better for me.
Yeah, totally. Totally, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to dive into that in just a minute, but let me just let everybody know this is the show where Gray picked out five of his favorite photos of other photographers. I picked out five. We're going to go through them one at a time and tell everybody what we like about the photos and just kind of break them down a little bit more and get a little bit more in depth with it. So before we jump into the first photo, yeah, what do you think it is about that more extreme weather conditions and stuff like that that appeals to you?
Man, I think I have never really thought too much about it. I did toss around the topic with a couple other photographers recently
Yeah.
that kind of agreed with me, and we talked about like what is it that we love about that. And I think one of them for me is that it makes me feel alive. It
Yeah.
makes me feel really alive. Like the summer or the summer when it's warm outside, you kind of just blend in with the ambient temperature. You don't
Yep.
really, it's fine. Everything's fine.
It's
But
easy.
when yeah, it's easy. But when you're really cold and it
Yeah.
almost feels like you're like surviving,
Yeah.
I don't know. It makes me feel my humanity, and I also really love with regard to the photos that you get and that kind of stuff is that um, wildlife is living out in all of the
Right.
conditions,
Yeah.
not just beautiful, sunny, perfect
Yeah.
sunrise light on a flower. They're out there in the rain, sleet, snow, you name it. So I like to be able to show all of that.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect example right there, man.
Yep. We were
Yep.
both out in the rain in that one. It was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Totally, man. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I very much agree with you. And for me, I know it also feels more rewarding. Those getting those photos right, it feels like I had to really push myself. It wasn't just like an easy outing, and yeah, it just kind of ups that reward level a little bit more. Um, I'm saying that as in 5 days I'm going to be driving down to Florida to go hang out in like summer like weather all winter.
Yeah. Just skip
Uh,
all the cold weather altogether, huh?
no, actually, I'm only going to be down there for a month. I'll be back in February. It should be plenty of cold left, and
Yeah, it'll still be
yeah,
waiting for you.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, you do a lot of dry suit in the water photography as well, which I
yeah, just
started
like you.
doing
Yep.
last winter.
Yeah.
And there's just something about it when you get out of the water and you've got some shots. You
Yeah.
had a great experience. You got some really cool shots, and you're cold as shit. You're like a
Yep.
ice cube. And then
Yeah.
you get into your warm vehicle and you got coffee. You don't drink coffee,
Yeah.
but maybe whatever. And it's you warm up and it's just like, man, what an experience that was.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's like I made it. I did
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Totally, man. Yeah. Totally
Yeah.
agree. All right. You ready to get into it?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. First one you picked, man. Look at
Yeah,
that thing, dude. What an adorable animal. It's
I
I,
know.
is it a hamster?
It is.
It is. Okay. Yeah. Man, the head on walking like that looks like the pouch, the cheek pouches are totally full of food.
Yeah.
Um, love the perspective on this is so good. I mean, we always talk about getting on your animals like on the subject's eye level, and I mean, what subject that is could it be any more important for a rodent like this, an animal that is just only an inch or two off the ground to begin with. This leading line of the grass here, I love this one little shadow of a grass kind of like poking out here and just pointing to the subject, and then great light all around. Love the color tones, and then the one thing that really stands out is the lifted up paw, just showing that movement as it's like walking right at you, man. And I just now noticed the ears are like folded back, like it's moving so fast that they're like it's like streamlined.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
hamster race car.
yeah, totally, man. Love it.
Yeah, yeah. It's great, man. Like you said, that perspective,
Yeah,
ground level with that little tiny animal is
yeah,
it's so beautiful, and it's such a small little life, but being down there like that, it puts you into their world. It makes it much bigger. Um,
yeah, great point, man.
it also makes me feel like a sense of urgency of like this little like probably primarily prey animal
Yeah.
just running for its life like anywhere it's going because like
Yes.
it's always at risk.
Yeah, it's true.
You can kind of see that in the face, like, oh,
Yep. Yep. Yeah, totally. Yeah, what an outstanding shot, man. And
great.
also doesn't seem like a technically easy shot. I mean, you think about how small that is, how fast that thing must be moving. That's not an easy shot to pull off running right at you like that, man. That's,
No.
you know, yeah.
I asked him
Certainly.
about that. I said, like, how did you get that shot?
Yeah.
And he just said he noticed their little patterns throughout the day where
Yeah.
they'd run, where their little tracks were, and he just placed himself there and waited.
So cool, man.
Amazing.
Yeah. I'm glad you found that out because that's such a great reminder of spending time with your subject, learning their habits, their behavior. Because no matter how random wildlife behavior seems, there's always generally some pattern behind it. And if you
Yeah.
spend enough time with it, you'll pick that up and then you can use that to achieve amazing photos like this.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. All
I
right.
love
Ready
it.
for the next one?
Let's do it.
All right. There you go.
Sin.
Yeah.
She's awesome, man. She's a hell of a photographer. Yeah. Short-eared owl, just beautiful. I think what I love the most about it, I mean, one, obviously it's looking right in her direction, whether it's
Yeah.
looking at her or not, it's looking in the direction. So it makes it feel like it's looking at me.
Yep.
I look at it. So it draws me right in. Um, Beautiful position of the wing, beautiful composition. I love that little kind of top corner position there, still like rule of thirds. But I think what I like the most about it is the soft background.
Oh, yeah.
It really makes the owl stand right out. It like puts the attention on the owl and the only the owl. But it's nice and soft. It's just a lovely image.
Entirely agree with what you said. That was the first thing that stood out to me when I saw this was like, and you say soft, and I don't mean out of focus, but yeah, just that soft feel to that background and and it just kind of it like fades in back there, or even fades out, I guess you could say. But yeah, the clarity on the owl and the contrast is so good, and then yeah, that eye contact and getting a head-on look with them is always just such a an incredible experience and photo to capture like that. So yeah, it's a beautiful shot, no doubt.
And it's not so soft that you can't make out some of the bushes in the background,
Yeah.
but you still see some of the habitat, but it doesn't take your attention away from the subject.
Exactly. Yeah, this is another great example of including some habitat. She chose to left the space. I mean, she could have easily just cropped in tight right there and just went for that eye contact thing. But the shot I don't think needed it. You still get that eye contact. You still get that connection with the subject, even at this size. And because she's got great background separation. That background's got a soft vibe to it. The bird can be smaller in the frame and still jumps right out of the page at us. So
No doubt.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just gorgeous. Jeez.
Yeah, nice. All right, next one. Oh man, look at the graphic nature of that.
This
That
blows my
is,
mind every time I look at it.
yeah. On a couple of episodes ago, talking to Tobias Yoder, we were talking about images that have this beautiful landscape that are incredibly beautiful. If you imagine, like if you took the subject out, right? So not even having the birds there, it's a beautiful photo on its own. And then you add the wildlife to it. And in this case, those gulls lined up like that. And it just takes it like next level. And is this, oh yeah, there we go. 1 minute long. I was just going to say, it looks like a long exposure because of how the water's just blurring out down there and the horizon's fading like that. And man, yeah. And so did you find out any backstory on this photo?
He just said that it did take him a really long time to get it to where he could get the gulls on each one of the little pillars,
Okay.
and then to be able to have a 1 minute exposure and have them stay put.
So this is one exposure. Like it wasn't like he
Oh
didn't
yeah,
add birds from another. Wow. Yeah.
one
I mean,
exposure.
just incredible then. Yeah. That just, again, ups the difficulty level, another tenfold right there. And what a creative mind to be able to think ahead of that. Like I would never, I personally would never sit there and think like, oh, let me do a really long exposure of the scene. Like, I would think it'd be just nice to just grab a quick shot of it, and even if you composed it nicely, that'd be good. But he had the foresight to have a tripod, or if he didn't have one, he set the camera down on something stable, and then took that long exposure. And that's such a thoughtful thing to do, and the result speaks for it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
It's gorgeous, man. The use of negative space here,
yeah,
just beautiful. And I have to imagine that I guess there was a heavy fog, and that's what he was looking for. And
yeah,
that probably helped out in creating that just negative space. And just the composition is absolutely perfect. Like
yeah,
it couldn't be better than that. Starts from down in the bottom corner and leads off into oblivion.
yeah, yeah, totally. And
You
back
know
here
what?
does look oblivion. Yeah, it just like
Yeah, it's just like
fades, man.
out into the galaxy, out into the universe, just
Yeah,
nowhere.
yeah,
But also at the same time, it still gives you a sense of place. It gives you a sense of being somewhere, not
yes,
just if it was all white to like, and then when in a gradient to blue,
you're right.
you'd kind of think, I don't know where that is in the universe, but it lets you know that you are, on the earth. This is a place. Um, but another thing that I kind of noticed that I really like is he down on the first rock, you can see gull poop. What is
Yep.
what I imagine it is.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, agreed.
Um, and I actually like that he just left that as is.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
does actually kind of add something to it's not like overly cleaned up to where it's like perfect.
sure.
And I
You're
like
right.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the poles, like not every one of them is perfectly straight. Like this one's perfectly vertical, but then these all have a bit of an angle to it, which just kind of adds to that sense of how old these are. These pillars are, like the decay that the sea is taking them back, kind of thing, right? It just kind of really feeds into that feel and that vibe to the image.
Yeah.
Whereas if they
Yeah.
were all like perfectly clean, lined up poles, it would just, not that that would be bad. It would just have a different feel to it.
No, you're right. Yeah, that's a great point. And I think it definitely benefits the image to be kind of asymmetrical like that, I guess you could
Yeah.
say.
Yep. Yep.
Um, Another thing, it's a 1 minute exposure.
Yeah.
So this had to be really dark. His
Yeah.
ISO had to be all the way down,
Yep.
aperture all the way up, all the way closed down
Correct. Yeah.
for to be able to get a well exposed 1 minute long exposure, right?
Unless it was something that he was very specifically planning and brought an ND filter with him, if he had a
Oh, okay.
neutral density filter,
Yeah.
because obviously it does look like a little bit of a wider angle shot, right? I don't think it's like a real long super telephoto. So if this was a shot he had in mind, and then went back and brought some equipment, or just maybe happened to have an ND filter. I mean, it's not something I travel around with, but I do have one in my kit if I was going to try something like that.
Mhm.
So that would be the other option. But yeah, if it's a strong overcast day, although I can't imagine it was like fully overcast because there's blue sky. So if it was full overcast, you'd have no blue, right? So
Yeah. Mhm.
maybe he did have like an ND filter there, or maybe it was just like super early morning or late evening before the sun rose or set.
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to ask him.
the tones. I mean, I really like that blue fade in there, right? Those tones definitely add something to it versus being full monochrome.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's a beautiful image, man. It keeps you looking at it for a while, which is a great thing.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, your favorite.
Yep. Yeah.
Nick, the belted kingfisher.
Yeah, man.
Beautiful female.
Yep.
I mean, that's gorgeous. It looks like maybe they were oh, okay. Yeah. They're great. They put out some
Yeah.
really good stuff, man. Take great photos.
Yeah.
That I love. It looks like they're shooting through some foreground stuff, probably
Yeah.
some other branches and leaves or something like that, or needles. I think for me, like what really makes that a beautiful image are the pine cones.
Oh,
Uh,
100%. Yep.
yeah, that green and rich orangey brown
Yep.
is just gorgeous, and kind of the orange a little bit complements the belt on the kingfisher there. But
Totally.
I love that, man. I love conifers
Yeah.
in photography, and yeah, it's well composed, just not dead center. not super tight in. It lets it breathe a little bit. And you got the bird probably rattling up
Yeah.
there,
Yeah. As,
mocking her for trying to probably get closer,
yep.
or him or whoever it is. Um,
As they love to shout out. Yeah. They're not
yeah,
subtle,
over
those
here,
birds.
come try to get close.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome, man.
I'm glad you pointed out the pine cones because that was the thing that drew me to this photo. Number one, I've never seen a kingfisher photo perched on something like that.
Yeah,
So that was unique to me. I've seen tons of kingfisher photos. I've taken tons myself. Never seen them on a pine tree with all the cones like that. So that was one thing that stood out, and that color tone match to the belt. Like just those little things that kind of tie in a photo and make it something a little extra special. Exactly what you mentioned. The foreground stuff is beautiful. It's just, yeah, yeah. Pretty much everything you said is what drew me to this photo. So pretty cool that it was the same for you.
yeah, that's a unique perch, man. You're right about that.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
gorgeous,
Oh, a
dude.
wildlife photo with no wildlife,
That's what I'm saying. That's why
right?
I love this so much.
Yeah. Yeah. So thoughtful.
Mhm.
Um, and have you ever come across these patterns in the sand from the grasses?
No, I was wondering what that was.
So the first time I ever saw it, I was on the beach down the Jersey Shore, and I'll jump back into why I like more about why I like this photo. But um, yeah, I'm walking on the beach, and all of a sudden I'm seeing these perfect circles like in the sand on the beach, and I'm like, this is weird, man. Like how they're so consistent, and they're not oval, they're just real clean. And then I stopped long enough, and the breeze came by for me to realize it was just a piece of grass that was loose enough and was being blown around from its center point. So it was falling down. So these pieces of grass here hit the sand and then get blown. In this case, it looks like maybe just back and forth. And they just eventually wear these little grooves in the sand after time after. I mean, each time they get moved, it's just a piece of grass, right? Maybe moves one or two, 5 grains of sand, but all day long, over and over again, and it creates these patterns. And yeah, it's such it's nature artwork, man. It's just incredible that that's happening.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But man, the tones of the sand, we don't get sand like that here. Or at least not on the East Coast. Maybe out west that you might in some of those desert areas. I don't know. I've never been.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. But yeah, just incredible creative composition, great use of light. Like it's obviously it's low light. You can see that from the shadows you're getting, and that's what's required to really show off these paw prints here of the dingo. Yeah, that's what I figured. Dingo footprints, because I know he just photographs the hell out of those animals, and yeah, just that red tone really sets the location for you. And then having these patterns with the paw prints coming across like that, compositionally, it's so great. The grass over here balances it out, and I think not including this grass or enough of it would kind of make you really question what these patterns are from. But having that clump there and the grass is attached to it, complete that story and tell why that pattern's there. So that's such a thoughtful shot, man. This is something I would walk by and be like, oh, that's really neat, and then just off I go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That that's exactly what I think. Every time I look at this, I go, to have the mind and the eye to see that and go, that's a photo.
Yeah.
I would never do that. Yeah, I do the same thing. Oh, that's interesting. See ya.
Yeah.
And everything you said, I agree with, and especially about the kind of the composition of it, leaving the grasses in there. Um, it just seems so perfectly balanced to me. Something about the footprints, the lines in the sand that I now know are caused by that grass. Thank you for that. And then
Yep.
also the bush. Um, what I really like about it as well is that it's a wildlife photo that doesn't require the wildlife in it.
Yeah.
It's still a photo of wildlife. And it tells a story, you know. Where is he? Is he Australia then? Huh?
Australia. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so it's like the dingoes in these red sand deserts or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just think that's beautiful that it tells a story of the dingoes without them even needing to be in the photo.
So creative.
And that sand, that deep, rich kind of red, just draws me in every time I look at it.
Yeah, that color on that sand is incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
really
just
is.
gorgeous, man.
I'm glad you chose this one, man. This was really cool. This is the first photo that hasn't actually had the wildlife in it, but fits right in with this. You know, it
Yeah,
belongs here, even more so. You know.
I was wondering if it would fit the bill or kind of get a veto because it didn't have a.
No, man. Yeah, absolutely. No, I love this. It's so creative. And you know what's really cool? This is the kind of thing that I think is so special about Instagram and this community and sharing, right? Like, so we just saw this photo. We talked about it a lot. It's in our heads. Maybe the next time either one of us is out, or maybe somebody watching this is out, that idea, or you see something like that, you maybe you don't walk by. Maybe you stop and see, like, is there a photo here? And maybe there isn't, right? Sometimes it's not going to work out just right. It doesn't mean that every footprint photo you see is just going to be amazing like this one. But at least it's enough of an idea that he shared with us to maybe just cause me to pause the next time and see if maybe there is something to a photo like that. So I think that's kind of cool that idea can be passed along in this way.
I'd love to see a little experiment done and like send wildlife photographers past this spot and see how many stop to check it out. And take a photo.
Yeah, right.
I bet it would be like 1 in a million actually seeing
Yeah.
the photo there.
Yeah. I very much agree with you, man. Yeah. There you go. What do you think of that?
I think that is awesome. That is absolutely incredible. Oh my God. You just hit me over the head with that one. I wasn't ready, man. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so sandhill cranes, I guess.
Saris cranes.
Oh,
I'm not sure
Saris cranes.
where it's
Okay.
from. Yeah. So yeah. Let's see.
Geo,
Nat Geo
India?
India. Yep.
Okay. Dude, what a
Yeah.
moment. Okay,
Yeah.
both of them arching their backs and necks and calling out hopefully the same beautiful or similar call of the sandhill crane
Yeah.
simultaneously like that. Just stunning. And then the light is like pure gold, clearly. And
Yeah.
it's like hazy.
Yep.
So maybe very humid with the early morning sunrise or sunset, maybe. And it's just lighting everything up. Gorgeous. Perfectly exposed for the light
Yeah.
to silhouette the cranes. And really well composed. I love the bushes on the right, and I love the little kind of palm tree on the left.
Yeah.
They
That
just
touch
balance
is
each other
nice.
really well.
Right.
I like how they're different heights.
Yeah.
It just feels really balanced to me. What a moment. Yeah.
Yep. And I don't know if I really dig my eye in. I can't tell if this is another bird head down there, maybe a
Yeah.
different species, or if it's just something else. But it's totally got the curve like it's another like bird down there, but it doesn't look the same size as these. So I don't know. That would be interesting to know if that was a bird. But anyway, uh, completely agree with everything you said. And then the other nice little touch that I love here is how each one of these is placed in its own little palm tree back there.
Yeah.
Like that little alignment detail. I mean, I don't know. Listen, if he was aware enough to move and line that up, then he is absolute next level, and he very well may have. But for me, that would be something that's just luck. You know, like I don't think in that moment of seeing that, I would have the wherewithal to line that up that way. But either way, no matter how it happened, it's just such a great little detail to me in the photo that just kind of really brings all those elements together, and yeah, just incredible. Yep.
Yeah. It's like a gradient from like yellow, orange to red,
Yep.
top to bottom.
Yeah, totally.
Man, that's a wall hanger. I mean, these are all wall hangers, but this
Totally.
is like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't be angry if I had to look at that.
Yeah, totally. Me neither. Oh
Oh.
man, talk about in your face. Look at that. That's incredible. Penguin chick, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, the wide angle stuff, like this is an experience I want to have one day, but I absolutely love the open beak, such in your face, but the focus is right on the eyes here. You can see the birds getting so close, the chick, that the front of the bill is just getting out of focus. Almost looks like it's ready to nibble on the lens there, kind of thing. So if this was underwater and you were like a fish, this would be like the last view you had, But add on, you start right here with the bird in your face. Great light, beautiful light, like catch lights in the eye. Love the little splash of green down here with the grass growing. And then your eye wanders to the back. And then it's like, oh, wow, look at this scenery. Like just the mountains back there with the snow, the heavy clouds that just kind of give an appearance of like storm, strong weather, tough conditions for these birds to live in, which I'm sure is the case most of the time. And
Mhm.
so it just tells that story of survival as well, just with the look of kind of how almost ominous it is back there. And then just on, you know, the flip side of that is just this cute element of this curious penguin chick just coming right at the camera there. Such a cool moment, man. Really neat.
It's this one catches my attention every time I see it, and you're right, it's just so engaging, just
Yeah.
right in your face. Like if yeah, like you said, looks like it's about the nibble on the camera, but it feels like it's about the nibble on you.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just looks so alien, you know. I
It
love
does. That's a great, yeah, that's a great description.
you know, it looks like an Ewok or something like that isn't on planet Earth. And which excites me, you know. I think it
Yeah.
excites a lot of us to see something like that. It makes us want to go travel, see new things. And um yeah, it's really cool. It's like it is. I mean, it's center composed, but it's not, because the back of its body is shifted to the over to the left side a little bit, so it's balance. It's kind of off balance, which is perfect.
Yeah.
Um, and that, to me, the fact that its side body is to the left, it's right. It kind of leads me from that side, and then over on the right where there's more room, you see the
Yep.
mountainscape. Um, but it's just such a cool moment, like to be in that, to be that close to that bird,
Yeah.
and to experience it so intimately must have been just amazing. It's
Oh yeah,
probably down in
definitely.
like Antarctica or something, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I would assume so, man. Or you know, any of the like the Falklands or I don't think Falklands look like that actually. So yeah, probably Antarctica, I would guess. Um, but yeah, that's definitely an experience I want to have sometime in my life is to go to one of those places where the wildlife has, you know, especially the birds have zero fear of humans. And
Uh-huh.
so it just changes your photography. You know, you're not using these crazy long lenses from far distances anymore, and you're getting these wide, intimate moments. And it's just, I mean, a completely different style of wildlife photography and approach. So, got to be one hell of an experience for sure.
Yeah, that wide
Yeah.
angle stuff is so cool.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you look like? Little girl, little guy, I don't know. All
Yeah.
right, very cool. It's a deer of some sort.
Yeah. Fallow deer, white fallow
Hello,
deer.
deer.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Little head
Yeah.
poking out of the grasses, or wheat or whatever that might be.
Yeah.
Uh, It's just cool. It's cool. It's really cute, you know.
It is. Yeah.
Deer poking its head out just to see what's going on. What was that noise? What's moving out there? You know, always
Yep.
on the lookout for predators. And I love how it's like kind of, is it the right word to say monotone? Kind of
Yeah.
one color.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just it's kind of one color. It's kind of that what do you call that? Like khaki? I don't even know what color that would be.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's really nice. But still, the head poking out, just it stands right out, and it has a nice. I guess the depth of field is pretty shallow,
Yeah.
so the rest of the grasses before and after are just kind of fade away. Um, yeah, what a cool shot, man! I love it. Yeah,
I love images where only your subject is in focus. When you can achieve where nothing else is in focus. And this is even more impressive because the smaller in frame your subject becomes, the harder that tends to become, you know? When we get really close with these long telephoto lenses, then we get razor thin depth of field and it becomes a little bit easier to have just your subject in focus. But with this kind of stuff, when it's a little bit further out, yeah, just such a cool achievement. And totally agree with what you said about the monotone thing. That was one of the things that really stood out to me was that single color throughout the photo. Yet it works. It's got that soft feel to it, like that the owl we looked at earlier, right? But yet the deer has really good contrast and standing out. And I love in reading the captions that, a ghillie suit from Tragopan was used while capturing this. So you can certainly relate, like putting in the effort to hide from the critter and doing your stalking kind of thing, or just staying put and trying to become invisible, yet it still looks like in this moment that deer was very aware that he was there.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
man, it looks like it's definitely sticking its head out. So like, I always wonder, like, is this a regular route that these deer take? Did he know that from observing over and over again? Or was he just kind of out in the field knowing that deer go through, but not sure where? And then how do you know when the deer are going to poke their head up? Like how tall is that wheat or
Yeah.
grass, whatever it is?
I don't know, but you know what? And just now I was further reading the caption, and it says he was trying to photograph the fallow deer buck with no luck. And this is a Chinese water deer,
Oh,
which locally is a very rare animal. So I just wanted to correct what the species was, and yeah, just kind of mention that. But
yeah,
yeah,
that brings up a good point too. Like you're out trying to shoot something else, but then you end up getting something more amazing than you even set out to get.
how many times does that happen? It happens all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah, all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. It's
Better
really
than you
cool.
could have planned it like this, something rare like that. And it's great.
Exactly, exactly. This shot is insane. Insane. Love the colors. I mean, talk about small in frame, right up my alley. You can't get any more leading lines that take you to the subject. We have one, two on the curve here, three on that curve, four on that curve, five different lines, all pointing right in. The darkest thing in the image is actually part of the ears and a little bit of the back and the eyes of the rabbit, and yet it's against the lightest part of the background. So we're getting that incredible contrast right there that just makes it stand out. It's profiled perfectly in that opening there, because I feel like a head-on shot like this might not. Well, I guess it would show well with the ears, but we're really getting to see the shape of the head there. The little extra bits of these that are taller, kind of framing right over top of the rabbit there. It's just like, come on, like how many more things can you get to line up perfectly here? And then the color, like all this purple and everything like that, just leading you in. And to me, this is like you're laying on the rabbit's path. Like this is its path that it uses to kind of make its way around this, farm or whatever this is that has these rows like that. And whether it actually is something that the rabbit made or was made by whatever was like if people made that and planted things that way, I don't know, but it just has that feel to it. But man, killer shot. Absolutely love this one.
Yeah, it just I this one stood out in my mind when you asked me to do this, and I just was like, I know I have to do something by this photographer because the work she's done with the brown hares is like it's just stunning. Every photo she shares of them just blows my mind. And you actually said a lot, you made a lot more points about this than I even recognized. I mean, the leading lines, I was aware of like the path, but I wasn't aware that the top also led into it. Everything folds into that hare.
Exactly.
Um, and one thing I also the hair the fact that the background is flat. It's
Yeah.
a flat color. It's monotone. There's nothing else. It makes it work. If that
Yeah.
background had been messy or cluttered or patterned or something, it wouldn't work nearly as well.
Not with a subject that small.
Yeah, it has to stand out like that. And you're right about the profile look. Just the colors, the shallow depth of field, everything
Yeah.
about it's amazing, man. She spent a lot of time in these fields to get this photo.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine so. We had one of her photos on either the previous or 2 episodes ago, of
Oh,
one of these hares, and it was a silhouette against the sky of just like the ears sticking up. You know what I mean? Yeah, and just again, super tiny in frame, but and super creatively shot. So yeah, this is and so it's cool to have another one featured and subjects that you don't see a ton of. I know you spent some time recently working with the cottontail rabbits, and it's just I've photographed them a couple times in passing. I haven't photographed them in years, and why? Like, why not? They're such interesting subjects, and yeah, you just don't see a lot of this type of subject on online.
yeah. And they're not as easy as everyone thinks. You know, if you have a backyard rabbit, that's one thing.
Yeah,
But going out and finding wild rabbits and getting in front of them without them smelling you first or hearing you or something is like, it's pretty difficult.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
for her to do this, and obviously she had to plan it out with like these farmers growing the lavender
Yeah.
and that whole cycle.
Yep.
Really impressive.
Yeah, it very much is. I love the caption too. Simple. Find your own path. Well done. All right. There you go. Just a nice simple one. Get you in the mood for your stuff tomorrow.
Yeah. Yep. Evening grosbeak. I've never seen an evening grosbeak before.
I just got my first ones this last week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did it look like that?
No, not that good. I mean, the
Well,
bird looked like that, but yes.
Did the bird? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Good Lord.
Gorgeous bird.
That's just perfect. That's a perfect time to shoot that species.
Yeah, right.
Everything is just white and dull and gray and
Boom.
boom, and then boom, you have that bright yellow bird right there, like a glowing sun.
Yeah.
Just, it's beautiful. And to have a bird that looks like so tropical like that in a scene that's covered in snow is like,
Good point.
just really, it seems like it doesn't belong there, which makes it stand out even more. Beautiful. I love any photo with snow. I just think it's a beautiful element.
Yeah.
Well composed. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and again, talking about lines and branches, right? Like the framing here of these branches naturally just right over the head, not intersecting, just enough space there. That little bit is great. And then just the drooping curves, you know, that kind of just hang down there. Yeah, it's just gorgeous, man. And exactly what you said. That color in a completely colorless scene is doesn't get much better than that. So, yeah. And well composed, like that, leaving the space out there, not just hammering in on the bird. You know, it doesn't need to be filling the frame. This bird stands out so well in this amount of space, you know, and it's still, I mean, if we went percentage wise, what is this? Maybe 15, 20% max of the pixels of the image, right? It's about that. That's about all. It's not a lot, but it's more than enough. And seeing more of this scene and the habitat, I think, it, for me anyway, tells more of that story than just being in your face on that bird. So yeah, I love this one.
You said it, man. That's something I've been thinking a lot more about lately. Not just taking a photo of a species, but taking a photo that tells a story. And I know that's kind of like something a lot of the pros tend to end up doing.
Yeah,
they're taking photos that tell a story, not just to show you, look at this bird I saw really close.
Yep.
It's something I still do because I still like.
Oh, I do it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a time and place for everything, but
yeah,
and that's this tells a story. It puts you in a time and place, and I think if I'm not mistaken, it's kind of small on the screen, but it looks like it's got a little maybe food on its beak.
Yep. I would say so.
Feeding on something. I don't know what it eats, seeds or berries or something.
Yeah, definitely looks like that. So, all right, man, that's it. Well done. We did it. Nice. Yeah, that was. Best place for people to follow you, right here on Instagram?
Yep.
All right. Perfect, man. Nice. And I hope you enjoy that upcoming snow and find some really good stuff. And I look forward to seeing what you get in it. And even if you don't get any photos, I know we'll get some good stories on your Instagram for it, because you're always good for that, man. And I appreciate that. I appreciate you sharing and taking us along for the excursion. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it can even be a lot more fun when you fail. The consolation prize is a funny story about the failure. So
exactly. Yeah, man.
Thanks, man.
All right, dude. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks everybody for watching. Make sure you follow Gray and all the photographers we mentioned in the show. And Gray, I'm sure I'll talk to you soon, man.
Yeah. Take care, Ray.
Take it easy. Bye.